Three men accused of abducting and holding the women hostage are in jail this morning awaiting arraignment as this neighborhood and even the family members are trying to piece all this together, wondering if there were any clues they may have missed.
Cleveland, Ohio, a city known for its rich industrial history.
Prosecution would have to show that this was an unwanted termination of the pregnancy against the mother's consent that's aggravated murder and potentially subject to the death penalty.
Was about to become synonymous with one of the most harrowing cases of kidnapping and captivity in American history.
Turning to our top story, the miracle in Cleveland. One of the suspects in this case seemed to lead an ordinary life. Neighbors say they had no idea there was anything amiss inside this home.
One man who lived 2 doors down from the home for more than 20 years says suspect Ariel Castro was a friendly and charismatic guy, and now he says he and his neighbors are shaken.
Amid the city's vibrant neighborhoods and bustling streets, a chilling secret lurked behind the doors of Ariel Castro's seemingly ordinary home. The case of the Cleveland Kidnappings, the abduction and subsequent captivity of 3 women for over a decade, shocked the nation, unraveling a tale of despair, resilience, and ultimate triumph. This story is not just about the crimes Ariel Castro committed, but also about the women who survived them. Michelle Knight, Gina DeJesus, and Amanda Berry were each abducted at different points in the early 2000s, yet they were all bound by the same nightmare. Their captivity under the reign of Ariel Castro remained a mystery until one of them, Amanda Berry, managed to escape in 2013, setting off a chain of events that would lead to one of the most heart-wrenching and emotional rescues in modern history. A wolf in sheep's clothing, Ariel Castro, born on July 10, 1960 in Puerto Rico, was a man who outwardly seemed to live a normal life. He was a former school bus driver with a family and a home in the middle-class neighborhood of Seymour Avenue in Cleveland. His appearance and profession gave no indication of the horrors that took place behind his front door. He had 2 daughters and was seen as a caring father and a seemingly trustworthy member of the community. However, the darkness lurking in his soul was not visible to the outside world. Before the kidnappings, Castro had a series of troubled relationships, and his personal life was riddled with abuse. His second marriage ended in a divorce, but his violence and anger issues remained hidden under the facade of a quiet, unassuming man. His history of controlling behavior and obsession with power would later be revealed as a precursor to the torment he inflicted on his victims. Castro's behavior grew more erratic in the years leading up to the kidnappings, and he began to view women, especially as captives, as mere objects for his control. Michelle Knight, August 23, 2002. Michelle Knight was the first victim of Ariel Castro's monstrous plan. On August 23, 2002, Michelle, who was 21 at the time, was walking to a relative's house after a court appearance. She had been struggling with her personal life, including the custody battle for her son. That fateful day, she crossed paths with Ariel Castro. He offered her a ride, and once she entered his car, the horror began. Castro drove her to his house, where he kept her chained in a room, subjecting her to unimaginable torment. Michelle was held captive for over 11 years. During this time, she was physically abused, starved, and mentally tortured. She tried to escape several times, but was brutally punished each time. Yet she survived, her willpower keeping her alive despite the constant threats and violence. Gina DeJesus, April 2, 2004. 2 years later, on April 2, 2004, Gina DeJesus, a 14-year-old girl, was walking home from school when she was abducted by Castro. Like Michelle, Gina was lured into Castro's home under false pretenses. She never made it home that day. For the next 9 years, she too would endure the same horrors. Gina's disappearance, like Michelle's, was shrouded in mystery. But no one could have suspected that Castro had 2 women locked in his home. Amanda Berry, April 21, 2003. Amanda Berry's case was the most widely known of the 3. On April 21, 2003, Amanda, then 16 years old, was walking home from her job at a fast food restaurant. She had just finished her shift and was on her way to see her mother. That evening, Castro offered her a ride home. Once inside his vehicle, she was kidnapped and taken to his house, where she would remain for the next 10 years. During her time in captivity, Amanda endured extreme psychological and physical abuse. But Amanda's captivity also held a glimmer of hope. In 2006, she gave birth to a daughter, Jocelyn, fathered by Castro. The birth of Amanda's child would later prove to be a crucial turning point in their survival, as she would use her maternal instincts to protect her child and eventually find a way to escape. The chains of torture. The women were kept in separate rooms in Castro's house, chained, shackled, and isolated from the outside world. They were denied basic freedoms, including access to a phone, a window, or the ability to leave the house. Their existence was defined by fear, violence, and hopelessness. Castro would often force them to comply with his demands and use psychological manipulation to break their spirits. The conditions they endured were unimaginable. They were starved, beaten, and forced to live in filth. Castro kept them isolated from each other, using his power over them to create a sense of disconnection. At one point, Michelle Knight even had her eye socket broken during a violent outburst by Castro. Yet through all the darkness, the women found ways to support each other. They communicated when Castro was away, trying to offer comfort and strength to one another. Amanda's daughter, Jocelyn, became a central figure in the women's survival. The child served as a reason to hold on, to fight, and to preserve whatever shred of hope they could. Amanda's protective instincts grew stronger, and she made a vow to herself that one day she would escape and get Jocelyn to safety. The escape. On May 6, 2013, after nearly a decade of captivity, Amanda Berry saw an opportunity. Castro had left the house briefly, and Amanda, using a broken door that had been previously left unsecured, managed to break through the door. She ran to a neighbor's house, shouting for help. The neighbor, Charles Ramsey, heard Amanda's cries for help. At first, he didn't believe her, but then he realized she was telling the truth. He kicked in the door and helped Amanda escape, calling 911. Amanda's courage and quick thinking saved her life and the lives of Michelle Knight and Gina DeJesus, who were still trapped in the house. As the police arrived, the women were freed from their nightmare. They were taken to safety, and the world learned of the horrors that had taken place inside Ariel Castro's home for over a decade. Justice delayed, the investigation that followed was swift. Ariel Castro was arrested and charged with kidnapping, rape, and murder for the unborn child Michelle Knight, lost during her captivity. He initially denied his crimes, but later admitted to the kidnappings and the abuse he had subjected the women to. The case quickly became national news, with public outrage at the horror these women had endured. Despite the years of suffering, the victims' resilience in the face of such atrocities became a symbol of survival and hope. Ariel Castro's arrest was only the beginning of a long legal battle. In August 2013, Castro pleaded guilty to 937 criminal charges and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Rebuilding lives. In the years following their escape, the women tried to rebuild their lives. Michelle Knight, Gina DeJesus, and Amanda Berry became symbols of survival. Their stories were shared worldwide, and they were celebrated for their courage. Michelle Knight, in particular, used her platform to advocate for victims of abuse and abduction. Amanda Berry eventually became an advocate for other survivors and started a foundation to help families of missing persons. Gina DeJesus, who had also suffered immensely, focused on reconnecting with her family and working to heal the scars left by her captivity. The public's reaction to the case was mixed. While there was widespread support for the victims, there were also questions about how the kidnappings could have happened under the noses of the community and law enforcement. This case prompted a revaluation of the systems in place for investigating disappearances and provided a stark reminder of the dangers that exist in even the most seemingly ordinary places. The ripple effect of a tragedy. The Cleveland Kidnappings left an indelible mark on the community. It sparked conversations about the long-term effects of captivity on victims, the failures of law enforcement to solve the disappearances, and the hidden nature of such crimes. But above all, it highlighted the strength and resilience of the human spirit. Michelle Knight, Gina DeJesus, and Amanda Berry have all gone on to inspire millions of people worldwide. Their survival against insurmountable odds is a testament to the power of hope, the importance of never giving up, and the unbreakable bond that can form between people in the darkest of times. The case of the Cleveland Kidnappings was a tragedy, but it also became a story of ultimate triumph. The women who survived not only escaped their physical chains but also fought to break free from the mental and emotional ones. They are living proof that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, there is always light waiting to shine.